Hey guys, Tony here, and this is another game of MLB 11 The Show, Road to the Show with Scott McLean. And this is a weekend series I have against the Cardinals, so I figured I'd bring this to you at Topher's expense. But what I want to talk about, and I want to sort of deviate, because I would like to keep things a little fresh. Last time I talked about the Padres, and I talked about where we are right now in the standings, and anyways, it was a good discussion. And so what I'm not going to do is talk about the Padres every time, because that would get really old and really boring for me and for you. So I was sort of inspired last night when we were doing our Gamers Roundtable podcast. We got talking about afterwards, the post-podcast discussion, we got talking about baseball movies. And I thought, hey, that would be a great thing. So what I want to do is sit down and I want to tell you about some baseball movies that I think are my favorite baseball movies. And then if you guys want to put your favorite baseball movies out there and why you like them, that'd be awesome. We can get a good discussion about baseball flicks going. So these are, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to give you the ones that I remember as a kid. And so the very first one I think is a big one that most people might remember is Sandlot. And this is a movie that kind of spoke to me. I was the first one in my family to play baseball. My older brother, who's 3 years older than me, never got the chance to play baseball. I actually got the chance just because one of my best friends, his dad was running a team. They needed an extra player, and I just happened to be the right age, and it was just sort of the right time. And so I started my baseball career, if you will, at the age of 8. And the reason why I think Sandlot resonates with me is because... I grew up in the late 80s, the 90s, and so there was Little League, and we didn't really have the Sandlot thing going, like the organized team against the Sandlot kids. We didn't have that. I mean, obviously the Sandlot was, set in the 50s. But what we did have is a Sandlot-esque sort of mentality. My brothers and I and my friend Tommy would get together and we'd play some baseball. You really just need a stick, a ball, and we've all got gloves so we could put them down for bases. You could scratch out a home plate, a pitcher's mound or pitcher's rubber somewhere. And it was just one of those things where as a kid, you can relate, and I guess being an adult looking back, you can relate to these movies like, man, that's kind of like how my childhood was, with the whole, throwing a game together kind of a thing. The next movie is Rookie of the Year. And I was telling John about this. I'm like, I remember Rookie of the Year. I think if you grew up during this time, it's the kid who was from American Pie who was dating Tara Reid. He, is in that movie as a younger actor. And something you kind of notice as a trend is that these movies are all set around teams that aren't doing well, and they need to somehow like boost attendance. So they're looking for some sort of not a scam, but some sort of a hook, to bring people in. So this kid, he's playing baseball in Little League, slips on a ball, breaks his arm, and they put it into a cast, and it's in this 90-degree angle on his right hand or right arm, and it's like, baseball, a pitching motion. And so I can't remember I know it's when he gets his cast off. That's right, I remember this now. He gets his cast off, and he's like, okay, rotate your arm, and it like snaps down and breaks the doctor's nose. And so, they figure that his tendons are really tight, and so he's got this whipping action, perfect pitching thing. And the kids go to a Cubs game, and he throws a ball from center field all the way to home plate on a freaking laser beam. You can hang laundry from it from center field down home plate. It hurts the catcher's hand too, which is all pretty impressive. But anyways, they sign him up, and he pitches for him until he slips on a ball, and I can't remember what team they're playing against. He's got to pitch for like a complete game or something, slips on the ball, and it jars his arm back to normal, so he can't be that phenomenal pitcher anymore. He lost some velocity. But Gary Busey's in that movie too. If you don't know him, he's the guy with the really big teeth. And then the last one from my childhood that I remember is Angels in the Outfield. And Angels in the Outfield is sort of this pseudo-Christian-esque sort of movie. It's got elements of it in it, especially with the team, the Angels. At the time, they were the California Angels before they went through this entire name change through the last decade or so. And it's it's a heartfelt movie. Danny Glover's in it, and he ends up adopting the kids. And they all see eventually there's two kids. There's the main character, and then his orphan best friend. And the little orphan best friend kid can't see angels until the end of the movie. But he does see angels, so it's like, oh, he gets it. So it's one of those heartwarming movies. But the movies that I now remember as an adult, the ones I'll consider them more adult movies because these are sort of like definitely kids movies. But the biggest one that I remember is my favorite, is League of Their Own. And if you guys don't know, most people probably have seen this movie, hopefully. But it's about the All-American Girls Baseball League that comes in. It comes in about 1943, if I remember correctly, when the boys are off to war fighting against the Nazis. And it lasts until, I think, 1957, 1958, something like that. It lasts for a while. But anyways, the thing is, it's a great movie. It's a great baseball movie, and it tells the story. It centers around the Rockford Peaches and some fictitious characters with the Rockford Peaches. But it's still a great movie. Those girls did play some great baseball. And anyways, so moving on from that, Major League is another one of my favorite baseball movies. It's just a classic movie. There's so many one-liners from that movie. You got Serrano, and you got Say Hey, Willie Mays Hayes. You've got Wild Thing, and then what is the catcher? I can't remember his character's name. Then you got the third baseman. I'm blanking right now, but there's just some funny parts, and especially the manager is hilarious in that movie. It's just a great movie. It's just a great friggin' movie. And so moving on from that is Bull Durham, another comedy. And I'm not much of a fan of William Shatner. Fuck, okay. Well, they're like the same actor. They both aren't that great. But Kevin Costner, and then I'm not much of a fan of Field of Dreams because it's not really a baseball movie. I mean, baseball is sort of a theme in the movie, but it's not a baseball movie. It doesn't really center around it. So I really can't consider it a baseball movie. It's just sort of an element within the movie. But Bull Durham's a funny movie. It's another great, great movie. It's a comedy, and it's just a funny movie. And I can't really say much about it because you just have to see it. It's about the minor league antics, and from what I understand, it's actually written about somebody's actual minor league experiences or a culmination of these minor league experiences, and so it's a good movie. Another one of my favorite movies is 8 Men Out. It's a star-studded movie made in the 90s, and it's about the 1919 World Series. It's about the Black Sox, the scandal of them, the Black Sox, or the Chicago White Sox, threw the World Series to the Cincinnati Reds in 1919. And it goes through that, and it's very historically accurate. It's a good movie, and you can watch it and you'll be like, oh, this is. There's some drama in it, and then there's some things that the writers had to take and artistic license on, but for the most part, the facts are right. And Christopher Lloyd's in that movie too, so he's gotten a couple baseball movies under his belt. And so that's a good movie. That's one of my favorite movies. And the last one I think is probably the most well done baseball movie that I've seen in a very long time is 61 Asterisk, and that's about Roger Maris's 1961 race for the single season home run record. And so all the drama that unfolds while he's chasing this record, and the problems he's got because he's not a Yankee, and people really at the time they really, well, even now, I mean, Babe Ruth is beloved. The old Yankee Stadium, the house that Ruth built, people didn't want to see his records get broken. Nobody wants to see the great Bambino go down. And so what they eventually did is the commissioner justified this idea that if Roger Maris doesn't do it in the 154 games that Ruth had to do it, then it doesn't count. It's a separate record, and so there'll be an asterisk next to it saying that it'll denote a longer season. And so he did end up hitting 61 in 61, and of course he played alongside Mickey Mantle, one of the greats, and they were in this home run battle for a while. I can't remember how. I think he hit like 58 that season, but anyways, that's a great baseball movie. It's directed by Billy Crystal, of course, being he's a gigantic Yankees fan. And so anyways, those are my movies that I can recall. I wrote them down. Like I said, go ahead and leave in the comment section, what are your favorite baseball movies and why, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really enjoyed, when I saw that I was playing the Cardinals, I just had to record the entire series and play and commentate it because I know Topher will probably enjoy this. Although I think we lose 2 out of 3. I can't remember. But anyways, what I want to show you next is I did a software update, or not, well, like you do a patch update for this. Anyways, this latest update has been horrible because I've been called out on really bad calls, and this was just sort of the biggest one that I could record. So I hit it to the gap. I'm rounding second, going to third, and I get tagged out. And I couldn't believe that. I'm like, wait a second. So I did a little rewind here. Okay, let's see what the umpire sees, and nope, even that's safe. So look at that daylight. Just, I couldn't believe that. So they're going to have to fix this in the next patch, hopefully. But getting tagged out is a problem. I've been picked off, too, a bunch of times. And that's a problem. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. I'm running over just a little bit. And I'll talk to you guys in my next one. Later.